Afternoon and welcome everybody. This lovely Friday afternoon. It's fantastic to see you here. Thank you for joining us today as part of the Nottingham Tech for Good Festival. My name is Paul Bailey. I'm one of the team behind the festival. It's a grassroots initiative that started as a bit of an idea and an experiment from last October. I'll be your host for this particular session. But I just want to tell you a little bit about the Nottingham Tech for Good Festival. So it's been a 4-day event. We're celebrating how technology can be used to shape a fairer, kinder, and more sustainable future. We've had over 20 events, featured talks, interactive workshops, tours, and all are focused around cutting-edge innovation. And the aim has been, in many ways, just to showcase how technology can shape better future for people and the planet. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Nalima. She's going to tell you about some really exciting research that she's been doing around that very subject. So Nalima, do you want to take it away?
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to talk about what we do here. And I think I would have to correct Paul. He said research that I'm doing. What I'm presenting here is actually what my team uh, has done and is doing, and it's a lot of their work. And I'm just someone who's supporting them, and I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to lead this research and to be able to share it at avenues like this. So my name is Neelima, and I'm an assistant professor at the University of Nottingham in the School of Computer Science. Um, my research is mostly around digital sustainability. So this includes cutting edge technologies like AI, which I think everyone knows what it is right now, artificial intelligence, things like Internet of Things. So those are smart devices. You know, when your everyday mundane things like your kettle, your thermostat, your energy meter, all of this becomes smart as in infused with internet capabilities, data transactions, basically spitting out any kind of intelligence. It becomes Internet of Things. It becomes a part of the Internet of Things ecosystem. So, how to make all of this sustainable? This is what my research is around. But today I'm going to talk about fixing the future, which particularly focuses on Internet of Things. So, basically, let's just say your smart devices. I'll start with the problem, talk about what the project was and is about, discuss some of the findings, what we are doing right now, what the next steps are, and then we can wrap up with a short Q&A. So fixing the future. Let's start with the problem here. So the volume of electronics put on the market in the EU is growing rapidly, but at the same time, the lifespan of these devices is shrinking. On average, electronic devices are being used 2.3 years shorter than their internet lifespans. And as we know, more and more things are becoming interconnected. Devices are increasingly embedded with software, making them smart, and data interactions. That all of this make them susceptible to early obsolescence, as in breaking down sooner than its kind of dumb counterparts. This is an example. Very recently, there's a in 2023, so 2 years ago now, there was a post by which it was more like a repost, which has shown that domestic IoT devices like your smartwatch, washing machines, and dishwashers, which typically last a decade, are being abandoned by manufacturers after just 2 years of software support. Not a good not a good statistic for the planet for sure. Uh, we're also facing a situation where even if the device still works, it may not be usable without internet access or software support. An example is Amazon's Echo Dot. It's marketed as a hands-free smart speaker, but it requires an initial Wi-Fi connection to even function. Uh, there are also situations where devices simply become useless due to software glitches. Here's an example. It's a school in the US that had its smart lights on for over a year due to a software failure, costing them over 1.2 million US dollars worth of, this is all taxpayers' money, right? Around 7,000 light bulbs is what we're talking about here. Ironically, these were installed as green lighting that would save energy and therefore electricity bills. Um, a US-based study, what you can see here is it collected 86 discarded Amazon Echo Dot devices and found that over 60% had not been reset by their previous owners. This not only makes them vulnerable to privacy breaches, but also hindered the use of or the reuse of these devices due to built-in security features like factory reset protections that block new users from easily resetting them. So what makes IoT different? IoT is Internet of Things. So all of these smart devices that we talked about all fall under the category of IoT. What makes IoT different? First of all, IoT devices are complex, but they're also low cost, which means that they're very off the shelf in their nature. It's not like your big desktop or your MacBook or an expensive laptop where you will think twice. You will try and repair it. Um, These are much cheaper. And so the low cost making also makes the disposal more of an easier decision for the consumer. So it's often easier to just chuck an IoT device in the home and get a new one than to fix it. There are several challenges relating to the production and repair of IoT devices. First of all, additional points of failure. So if you have a normal kettle in the house, it might fail because of the electronics or electrical components failing. So basically the hardware failing. But when it's smart, it could fail because of hardware, because of software, because of networking issues, because of data issues. Um, Security concerns. So somebody can hack into your, let's say, your smart kettle and start making tea for you at the wrong time. That's the least of your concerns. Imagine your Roomba, which is, your robot vacuum cleaner, which is basically crawling around your house and has a blueprint of your entire house, the floor plan. Get it? It might even have data around the number of people who might be present in different rooms at different times, depending upon how sophisticated the piece of equipment is. Do you want it to be vulnerable in terms of security? Lack of adequate repair provision. So IoT, because it's relatively new to the market, people don't know how to repair it yet. I'll come to it later on in more detail. And of course, premature obsolescence. I talked about it in the first slide here, how these devices are kind of built to be broken sooner than what you would expect for its non-smart counterpart. And that brings us to our project. We started this project a few years ago. It was spread across University of Nottingham, Edinburgh, Lancaster, and Napier. We were given around 1.2 million pounds by the Research Council to look into this, to look at the techno technological issues here, the legal issues here, the community and social issues here, and to see what design responses we can come up with to tackle this issue. So I lead the Nottingham of this particular project. And within Nottingham, we've done way more than this project now. I'll talk about all of that. So, as I said, what I'm talking today is stuff that my postdoctoral fellow, colleagues have done within the team, my PhD students have done, and my master students have done. So I'll start with what Teresa, one of my postdoctoral researchers, did as part of her research. She went to repair cafes in the UK. So Repair Cafe is a voluntary kind of event, mostly based in communal spaces like churches. It happens, well, different repair cafes happen at different intervals. A lot of them are run quarterly, so 4 times a year. A lot of volunteers come together and they repair things for people within the community. So it started with repairing clothes, jewelry, bikes, but now there are also electronics and electrical repair that happens. And what you see at repair cafes is we did ethnography studies. That's when we went there and we observed what was being brought in, how all of this was being fixed. We don't see a lot of IoT or smart devices coming in right now because a lot of them are still under warranty and guarantee. But we still did see some, connected printers, some connected coffee machines, connected toys coming in, that which have camera and all of that. And it was very interesting to watch how these things were being fixed within a repair cafe, within a span of, so it would run for, let's say, a day, and these volunteers have to kind of try and fix as many things as possible. And when it comes to these kind of more sophisticated devices, the challenges that we saw was very different from, fixing a blouse or a bike. So the repair challenges, the first one we saw was limited time to fix at events. These, as I said, these devices are more sophisticated than one would expect. So the time required to fix them is much higher or longer than a repair cafe would provide. Getting into these products are not easy. They they're often stuck together. The parts are stuck together. These things are not built to be repaired. If you look at an iPhone, for example, um, their parts are specialized. They're very tiny to deal with. Um, how you kind of unpack them and put them back together, it's all it's all quite a tedious process. Identifying faults, again, not easy because, as I said, they're kind of glued together and they're designed in ways that faults are difficult to be identified. And even if you do identify these faults, access to spare parts is limited, and it's not as easy as, going on Amazon and getting a spare part. So there are a lot of barriers that you see at different levels here, skill and tool limitations, and of course, volunteer fatigue, the amount of time, the amount of effort it takes, and the number of volunteers that are there with the required amount of expertise to fix these is very low. And to add to this is that it's not just hardware we are talking about, it's also software, which is a daunting kind of, proposition when it comes to repair. Even using software for an everyday, person, it's not easy. There's a learning curve attached to it. So to be able to diagnose and repair software, it's a whole different ball game that we are talking about. So our next study, one of my master students, she went ahead and looked more deeply into the software side of things. So we conducted 8 focus groups within the UK, with 34 general kind of IoT device users, just everyday people who use these kind of smart things in their everyday, very mundane life. We used textual scenarios drawn from real world cases of premature obsolescence, when things kind of stop working earlier than expected. These scenarios were consciously designed to spark critical thinking about software challenges associated with smart devices and how users manage these kind of scenarios. And we found our findings, it was very interesting. So we published a paper around this, and our findings highlighted several key insights. The first one was users perceive themselves and manufacturers as almost co-parents to their IoT devices. Users say they can control the physical hardware and the data with the device, but the software was seen as something mystical and complex because, as I said, it's a whole different ball game. It's daunting for the users to even consider fixing software. They were hesitant to modify or fix the software, fearing unintended consequences or security risks. So while participants with technical expertise saw value in using open source software embedded in devices, so open source software is software that is available publicly that you can look at and you can tamper with. Um, this could allow them to you kind of modify, improve, and redistribute code for longer term maintenance. The majority of participants were skeptical of this practice. That is, despite having the code, that is the blueprint for the software, if you didn't have the kind of expertise, if you're not a software expert, most people were not willing to do this. They saw it as chaotic and almost unaccountable. Participants also express frustration with end user license agreements. These are those, terms and condition statements that you're kind of often forced to sign right before you start using a service. These agreements are often presented at key times in a purchase when you all you want to do is get your hands on the product and start using it. They're often non-negotiable and are filled with legal jargon, leaving users feeling like they have no real control or recourse when the devices are no longer supported. Instead, many users expected that manufacturers or regulatory bodies should step in to offer more protection in these situations. So, a key concern that emerged for us here was trust. Users overwhelmingly trusted manufacturers to maintain the security and functionality of their devices. But if trust in the manufacturer was lost, say due to a security or a privacy breach, the device was often abandoned. In the same way, users felt they could not rely on unofficial repair communities or third party solutions for software patches. That includes repair cafes that we talked about without risking the safety of their device or data. When it came to managing software obsolescence, some participants suggested taking their devices offline as a temporary fix. When in doubt, switch off, they say. They felt that devices should have offline capabilities, meaning they could continue functioning with their core features without relying on an internet connection, such that they can provide the essential functions, as in a kettle can still be a kettle without the smart options on. The issue of data interactions also came up, especially around the reuse of these smart devices. Not all participants understood the importance of resetting a device before giving it away. I'm actually part of the government's kind of digital strategy, one of the working groups. And yesterday, another working group around, I'm on the one on AI, so another working group around circular economy was presenting their findings and data, and the data interactions associated with resetting of a device was a big point of discussion yesterday when it comes to e-waste within the UK and management of e-waste within the UK. So devices with minimal sensors like smart lights were often overlooked in terms of privacy implications, even though they too may collect sensitive data. Many participants of ours were also hesitant to purchase second-hand IoT devices due to concerns about their quality and functionality. The lack of manufacturer support here for older devices left users uncertain about their longevity, and they felt that buying second-hand IoT, that's in smart devices, would leave them with no recourse if issues arose, which is fair game. So, with all of these findings, we did a few different things. We made a board game. First, why a board game? When our concern is around the impact of household technology on the environment, using these devices to deliver the game seemed counterintuitive. So, we've stepped away from a digital game. We felt that removing the technology element and providing this game through a physical board game medium would allow players to gain a different perspective of the technology use. So, the board game has two teams, the corporate team and the citizen team, and they have these devices that they need to keep alive through different rounds. So, through different rounds, there'll be policy changes, there'll be changes made by the manufacturers, environmental changes, and there's a climate marker that is sticking. So, it's basically a simulation of the real world, but gamified. So, people understand what is happening here. And then right now we have extended the research from beyond the UK. So all these studies were done within the UK. Uh, but if you go to a different part of the world, let's say the global south, a lot of this e-waste is actually shipped two different parts of the world, including global south. So the implications of what we do in one part of the world is often affected by a different part of the world. We want to see that. And also, me personally, growing up in India, what I understand is there's a culture of repair, maintenance, uh, using things on a for a longer period of time within within different cultures. So I thought, why not bring that in? Uh, I mean, there's a lot we can learn there. So we went ahead and we pitched for this project towards a sustainable Internet of Things, and we started studying technology practice, especially repair practice and culture around repair of smart devices in Malaysia and also in the UK, and we started comparing it. And with our formative finances and our first set of initial findings, we made a speculative design of a future world where there's more support towards fixing a device. We made a little video around it. I can show you that now. Stop sharing, and then I'll try sharing.
That's displaying, Nilima. It's good.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Apple Watch Series 22 model number 82205 Unit oh 05. That's quite a mouthful. You can call me Nat's watch instead. Nat and I have been inseparable since she received me as a gift from Dan, her father, 2 years, 3 months, and 5 days ago. I monitor her sleep, wake her up when she's ready, track her runs, keep an eye on her nutrition, and even predict when she's about to get sick. She also takes care of me. Just last week, she noticed I was struggling with switching between apps and taking too long to sync with her phone. She replaced my battery to fix it. Now I'm all good. Nat's training for a 21K in February next year, and I'm her pacer. Today, my job is to help her avoid burning out too fast. She wants to maintain a pace of 6 minutes per kilometer. Hey, slow down, Nat, I buzz. You're running too fast. She's focused and pushes on. Hey, Nat, watch out! Oh, my screen is all messed up. I don't think Nat can see me anymore. That was a really bad fall. I hope she's okay. I can sense she's heading back home. I just hope she has a fix for me too. I'd hate to be chucked away. Phew, we're finally back home. I heard her rummaging through the drawers. Yep, she's got the first aid kit out. I can make it out from her soft whimpers as she's applying antiseptic to her scrapes. I wish I could show her how well she ran today. Wait, I'm in the air again. She's opening me up. I like these new screwdrivers. They work perfectly well with my components. I think she used the same ones for my battery replacement. I'm glad my parent company Apple adopted the right to repair legislation back in 2025. It means I have a much longer lifespan than older models, and all it took was granting Nat the ability to fix me easily. Now, I'm built with standard screws and color coded waterproof modules, battery, memory, display, processing, and so much more. The color coding helps Nat know which parts need professional attention and which she can handle herself. The local council even set up tool libraries in community centers and public spaces so that people like Nat can rent what they like. But she already has her own set from an Amazon purchase she made last week when she got the battery repair kit. I think before she connects me to the diagnostic tool, she's carefully removing my memory module to upload my data to the cloud. I don't think I would remember much during the repair, but I trust her to get it right. Oh, looks like I'm about to be reset. Hi, I'm Apple Watch Series 22, model number A2205, Unit oh 05. That's quite a mouthful. You can call me Nat's watch instead. There we go. Nat's pressing the volume buttons together with the power button. She's activating the diagnostic board. We're connected to the Apple website now. She's navigating to the Apple support page. Hi there. My model number is A2205. Yes, I'm an Apple Watch Series 22, though I prefer being called Nat's watch. I'll be quiet now while they inspect me. It's just a minor issue. Nat can fix me herself. All she needs is a new display module. My memory is back now and I feel more like myself. She's checking what to do next. Yes, turns out she has the tools already, but she still needs a new display module. Luckily, it's available at the nearest city library and it's just a 15-minute walk for the fix. It's going to cost me. Wait, it's going to cost me nothing. It's a 45-minute fix, but I think it'll be faster if she just takes me along to the repair group at the library. Rachel, the volunteer who helped us with the battery swap, will be there. I know she's great at this. We're finally at the library now. I'm glad Nat reserved the module online ahead of time, so I don't think we have to wait too long. The place is buzzing with activity today. I see a friendly man behind the counter who quickly finds the display module with Nat's name on it. He explains that it came from a donated Apple Watch. Someone wanted a new model and decided to give their old one a second life. He's now using the same diagnostic tool to confirm if the replacement is in good condition. Everything checks out. But we can't find Rachel though. He says she's leading a workshop on advanced repair skills at a nearby library. He's offering Nat help, but I think Nat has decided to go solo. She must have learned enough from Rachel the first time. He points her to an empty desk. Nat is sitting down now and pulling up the Apple website again to resume the task. She clicks on the recommended video tutorial, scanning through the steps. She picks the video with the highest success rate for fixing the screen. 4 steps. That's all it will take. Nat unscrews my broken screen, carefully disconnects the wires, and sets it aside. The replacement module clicks into place smoothly. She secures it with precision, and the new display looks perfect. It's time to test the repair. She puts me back in diagnostic mode and waits. I know she's anxious. I can feel the tension in her fingers. Hey, my screen's lit up. It's crystal clear. We're back on. I show her the success message, and her heartbeat jumps. It's strong and steady, and I'm whole again, and she's beaming. Nat walks us over to the pink recycling bin where broken parts go to be transformed into something new. She gently places my old, shattered screen inside. I say a silent goodbye to the piece of me that served so well, now off to a new journey. As we step out of the library, I sense Nat's excitement. The race is getting closer, and we're ready to keep training. We're both feeling strong and prepared, renewed, and well, to borrow a phrase, feeling good as hell. I do my
So that video is what we call a speculative design. Um, as in, we took responses that we got from both Malaysia and the UK to build a future where repairing devices is supported. So if you can see, there's a lot of community support there. There are workshops on how to repair. There are libraries that offer, exchange of parts and spare parts. Um, there are ping bins. There's talk around, companies adopting right to repair solutions. So all of this we got from kind of like a very inclusive set of design recommendations that was formulated from user response from two different countries who have two different approaches and cultures around repair. And now we are in the process of evaluating this speculative design to see what changes we need to make here and how we can come up with some design, maybe patterns and further recommendations that would help future smart devices be more maintainable and work in a more circular manner, let's say. So yeah, that's my talk for today. I think that's time as well, 30 minutes, Paul.
Just got off mute. That was really great, Nalima. Thank you ever so much. I really love the story at the end as well. I think adding that human element to it sees the kind of relationship that we start to have with these devices. If you've got a question for Nalima, we have got a Q&A section if you want to add any questions in there. I've got one just to kind of kick off, I guess. Well, actually a few. But I'll start with the obvious one. What can individuals do to reduce their digital footprint and kind of e-waste impact? So you've already started to give us some ideas there. Is there anything that we can do to kind of almost action it, to do something about it?
Yeah, I think one of the first things would be to change our kind of consumer trends and practices. So rather than replacing things like our phone and just our everyday devices, as often as we do right now, try and see how it can be fixed, how things can be recycled, how things can be reused, and yeah, just to try and increase the lifespan of these devices as much as possible. I know it's easier said than done because I myself just listed out all the barriers towards this process. Mm. But hopefully, we are moving towards an era where this is made slightly easier. But I think being conscious about that is in itself puts us a step beyond, where we are at right now.
You mentioned that you're part of a government kind of group. What role do you think governments have actually in enabling or helping to solve the problem? Because I guess it's not like it's a global challenge, isn't it? It's not just a one country challenge. It's all these different countries, and they've all got different perspectives.
Yes, of course. So I think, yeah, so we are I'm part of a working group which is looking at how the government uses AI and things like that. There's another one around circular economy, which is what it was their findings that I was talking about today. And um, governments can look at, well, there are different things that governments can do. They can start looking at just the materials that are required, that are being used for the making of these very, like the chips and all the boards and all of that, because there's a lot of precious metals and minerals that are being used, which has a direct kind of impact on the planet. So they start at that level. And then, of course, making policies and supporting councils, yeah, in helping with initiatives like repair cafes or maybe yesterday there was talk around kind of like the social value of donating goods and recycling more. So these are kind of expensive devices that we're talking about. Okay, IoT is relatively less expensive, but still there are many people within the same community who might not be able to afford something like this. So if you can easily repair, and if the council has a system of donating it, of giving it to someone who does not have access, a child in a school, or even a teacher in a classroom who has access to a device like this, I think there's a lot of social value associated with it. So that's another thing that the government can look at. And then working with manufacturers, helping them come up with metrics that they can use in their kind of everyday design choices, when they look at suppliers, when they look at how they design their devices. So all of these are frameworks and standards that, again, the government can work at and can provide to manufacturers. And that'll be a much easier route for any company to become green or greener, rather than, not have anything to um, uh, even refer to, which is the case, mostly.
Yeah. In your story there, you mentioned that it was kind of obviously there was a Nottingham kind of angle to it. They gone to the library. Are there any kind of take back or trade-in schemes in the kind of Nottingham area? Is that something that people are experimenting with, or is it more? It was hypothetical. It was like an idea of what could be.
Yes, we went off a hypothetical idea, but I think there are certain councils, I think Hounslow, I don't know if that's how you say it.
It is,
I
yeah.
think, yeah, that council, I've heard that they have a scheme where you can donate your items and and then they kind of have a way of, I think, redistributing it. Um, Countries like Malaysia, they have it. There are initiatives called eco-free market. So that's a big learning that, we took away from observing them, where there's a major culture around repairing to donate. Get it? So you don't have to repair and use it if you don't want to use it anymore, but you can repair and give it to someone else, and there's still, value, rather than it becoming e-waste all of a sudden. Uh, but I don't think there are any active measures as far as I know right now. But there are councils picking this up as we speak, and maybe Nottingham will be one of them, because Nottingham has a very strong kind of, I think there's a carbon neutral aim, 2028, is it, for
That's
Nottingham
correct. Yeah.
Council?
So they've got the ambition to be carbon neutral by 2028. The Nottingham
Yeah.
City Council.
Yes, exactly. And they work with they support repair cafes in different ways for the same, reason to help support all of this. And I think a scheme like this would fit in very well with Nottingham Council, and maybe it's something that we can look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, I have to put my hand up and I think about the devices that I have at home and how many are in cupboards and have not been used for years. And it's like, oh, what could I do? How could somebody else benefit from that?
Exactly. I mean, we at the school, we have a sustainability committee, and we were thinking about the same way because we are a computer science school and we have a lot of devices. So we're like, how do we responsibly use, reuse, and then ultimately, when you don't want to use it at all, um, donate, recycle, or dispose them. So we are in kind of like the process of coming up with that plan right now. We did even think about, donating it to different countries, but we should also think about the carbon footprint involved there. So if we can do it locally, it's much better.
I've got one last question then around, maybe it's a bit bleak to end on, but I'll ask it anyway. If we don't change, if we don't change our habits, what might things look like in the future? If you're thinking about what's next, and we're all blindly buying iPhones and digital devices and not really thinking about the impact, what do you think might be the longer term impact if we don't change that behavior?
Okay, the first one is as I said, all the minerals, all the raw materials required for making these devices is basically stripping the planet off of precious, resources, and it directly influences things like ecosystem biodiversity, etc., etc. Carbon emissions associated with the making, with the transfer of devices, and even e-waste disposal is a whole different, again, issue to be dealt with. So it will contribute to the increasing temperatures, the climate change that we are seeing right now. Um, and There's a whole different social problem as well. So e-waste, as I said, that's often dumped here is taken to a different part of the country, and it is dumped in very toxic environments where often women and children are forced to deal with e-waste, to pick it apart, to maybe try and recycle it, or even see what can be salvaged. Um, so there's a bit of a social problem associated with that, the kind of diseases that might lead to, etc. And also disposal of e-waste. Right now, when I talk to people, for instance, at Malaysia, the containers that come from the West, they don't do much other than just burn it all. And then whatever precious metals are left, like gold and maybe copper, something like that, uh, they'll they'll get that after the burning. Everything else is just, ashes and smoke, which again is not good for the planet because a lot of it is toxic. So, yeah, these are some things that come to me off the top of my head.
Yeah. So we need to change, right?
We need to change. We need to change. Yeah, just that every day. Just don't use a phone for just 1 or 2 years. Try and extend it to 6, 7, at least 8 years if you can, and definitely more than 5 years. I would say a phone, and anything bigger than that, maybe even longer. Smaller devices. Yeah. So these are not science-backed numbers I'm saying, but they are still longer than what we see right now in terms of longevity of devices. So we should try and push towards that longer end wherever possible. I think we always, I say I grew up in India, and I saw a culture of repairing things, but all my friends in the UK say the same, that their grandparents always repaired things and made sure everything worked for a long period of time. So that culture was there all around the world, but it's just with the way marketing and consumerism is kind of changing, the way society is right now. We are pushed to buy more when we often don't need it. So we just need to be conscious and aware of it. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, Lima, thank you ever so much for sharing your talk and the work of your team with us today. Really appreciate you taking the time out. It's only with people like yourself contributing that we've managed to put some sort of festival together this week. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, no, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much. And thank you for organizing a festival like this. And yeah, inviting myself and my colleagues to be a part of this. Very happy to have had this opportunity to share this information.
Great. Thank you everybody else for joining. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.